Hi, welcome to the next round of discussing the top 10 cards for Pioneer. And you might be surprised, but we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy. Now, I don't know how well the set is going to actually do, but I am curious. Like, the set could be pretty reasonable. There's definitely some cards that I'm immediately going to try out in this when I can. So this is going to be a very iffy season going forward until I can guarantee be able to finance it. So yeah, there's that. So I will be dumping videos as I go along. Try to just to what I can, right? Because I mean, I'm not able to fork out the money I usually do anymore when it comes to that. So normally I would fork out like $100 something every single release on the client of MTG Arena just to get the accumulate the cards to be able to play the content. That's a lot trickier for me now, just because, like I said, the second kit is on the way. It's like literally coming not next month, but the month after. So I really don't have that much more I can honestly flex anymore. So if you are interested in help supporting the content that I do, the join button is down below. If you do join once a month, I will do um, a raffle, and I will send out a signed card of depending on whatever card game you want, between Pokemon, One Piece, or Magic. So whatever one you want. And I do have 4 copies still in paper of Siege Rhino, so I will send them out signed if you're interested. So, and like I said, that money will go back into making arena content if that is what you guys are absolutely wanting on the channel. So let's go ahead and dive in to my top 10. I have 3 honorable mentions, that 2 of these which are going to be featured relatively early in the season, quote unquote season, just because I mean, I don't know how consistent this is going to be, because it's going to be a lot trickier for me to grind to earn the points to be able to open the set. So let's dive in. So the honorable mentions is Cactar, 1 green, 3/3 trample, and every other turn it just returns to your hand. This card I think is absolutely one of the first cards I'm going to be trying out this season. I already got my full playset on Arena, so actually the deck that I'm kind of excited to try this in is a deck that's kind of went away a little bit. That's a Tarka Red. If I can guarantee that this was going to put a Tarka Red into the top slots again, honestly, I would put this much higher on the list. I really think this card is really good for a Tarka Red. Being able to put this on 3 and then immediately follow it up potentially with casting a Bushwhacker attack for 3 and 4 is really strong. We have Chocobo over here. 1 green, 0/1. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, put a +++ counter on it. I'm also going to be trying this very soon. Expect it to probably literally be recorded after this video here, and it'll air relatively soon with a Gruul landfall deck. Ultima, Origin of Oblivion, 5 for 4/4. I'm excited about trying this out in mainly as a pseudo land destruction spell, because whenever he attacks, you put a blight counter on a land, basically just nullifies it. And then whenever you tap a land for colorless, add additional. So this is kind of like a new creature version of a there was an old artifact that basically gave you everything a +2/+2. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, you gain life, and it has the same effect on top of it. I think it's a shrine to Ulamog, one of the Eldrazi's. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of a little interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good enough to show up in mono red ramp or not as an interesting card, but I'm gonna see if I can't acquire 4 copies of this card and try it out. We'll see. Let's get into my top 10 now. So number 10 is Ignis Scienta, 1 green, blue, 2/2. ETBs look top 6, put a land among them on the battlefield tap. This is just a better Elvish Rejuvenator that also has pseudo Graveyard Hate. It's not a very good Graveyard Hate, but it is pseudo Graveyard Hate. So overall, I think this actually is a reasonable card. If you're in Simic and you're just looking to have an Elvis Rejuvenator, I'd probably pick this over Elvis Rejuvenator. It's a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, so it trades more profitably, and it digs one more deeper, I believe, for a land. So you're less likely to whiff. So keep this in mind in your back pocket. I don't know if I would play this in Gates or not. Gates has a lot more problems than this. Sadly, there was another card that I thought about for Gates on the 2-drop that basically makes all your lands ETB untapped. But then I read it was only really for towns, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna divide myself up even more by caves, towns. I don't know. So let's get to number 9. So number 9 is Cecil Dark Knight, 1 black, 2/3, Death Touch, Darkness. Whenever it deals damage, you lose that much life, and then you can transform it if you have half your life. So basically, you go to 10. I see this card actually pretty fun in the format. Sadly, I was never able to actually play the deck on the channel. I just don't have the Mythic wild cards for it, because I also need to pick up 4 copies of the old Mythic that its power is equal, toughness is equal to the amount of life, the highest amount of life between you and your opponent. So you basically be playing 4 copies of that, 4 copies of this, 2 to 3 copies of the Last Ride, and the 13 drop or whatever it is, 7/7, that it gets reduction, cost reduced based on how many life you lost or something like that. So basically, you can make this Death Shadow style deck. So I'm kind of intrigued about that kind of strategy, how it could function and be really decent in Pioneer. But like I said, again, I just don't have the cards to be able to put this together to try it out. So sadly, but I think this card would be pretty sweet. Oh, 1 black, 2/3. It barely gets hit by cut down, sadly. If it had 1 more power of toughness, it wouldn't. But all right, so let's get to number 8. Remember, keep in mind the first 5 are kind of speculative, and then we're going to get into the better ones. Number 8 is Ra Bahan, Bull of Alaya Migo? I don't know. 1 in a red. It has ward for basically you have to pay it life equal its power. And whenever it attacks, you can attach up to 1 target enchantment or equipment you control to target attacking creature. Pretty sweet. It's a warrior type, so I believe that also works with a lot of the warrior synergies for like a Hammer Time deck. So I don't know if you would play how many copies of this you would play in a Hammer Time deck, but I gotta imagine you play like 2 or 3 of these. It's not bad. It's a 2-mana 2/2. A lot of lists were already playing the cat, that whenever ETB'd, you immediately attach an equipment to it. This probably replaces it. You could even maybe argue, no, you still need white for the card we're going to talk about later. Potentially also for the 1-drop enchantment that basically auto-equips when you cast an equipment. So you probably want it for that too. But I think this card actually makes the cut in some number. So let's get number 7. Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. 2 in a black, 3/3. Whenever it attacks or ETBs, you get to sacrifice another creature if you do draw a card. And then if the 4th time that basically something died this turn, you drain them, transforms it into a 5/5. I don't know if this replaces Mayhem Devil. It could. It could be additional copies. It probably actually, if you did cut the, if you want to go mono black style self-sacrifice or Golgari, it can make the cut, right? So the primary reason why you would stay in Jund, and we're gonna talk about another card later on. That actually, no, that card also could apply for this situation too. So you could actually do a Golgari version of Golgari Sack, and then you just cut the Mayhem Devils, play this instead. It still drains. It becomes a better threat than a Mayhem Devil. It doesn't really work with Fate with the Mirror Breaker, but then again, you're not in red anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. So I don't know how I feel about this card as a whole, but it could very well show up in like a Golgari variant and just cut the red and make your mana base a little bit cleaner. So let's see how that pans out. Let me know in the comment section if you think Golgari sack could be a thing. Because, I mean, you still get to play the Golgari Cat, which is a combo piece. So, number 6 is Lucius Sacrifice. 1 blue. It may cost 2 more, but you get to counter an artifact activated ability, triggered ability, or non-creature spell. So I think this could show up in some number in very specific style decks. So if you're a deck that, I don't know if it will show up in control. Because control, for the most part, only gets to make tokens from Wandering Emperor. And I don't know if you would sacrifice your Emperor tokens for this. But if there happened to be like a blue tokens deck, oh wait, never mind. Has to be a legendary creature, so no tokens. All right, never mind. This card's garbage. All right, yeah, I don't think there is anything you could do with this. I don't know why. I thought I just read creature. Why did you have to add the word legendary to this? Seriously. Like, it would have been an okay card if it was just sacrifice a creature or pay 2. Because, I mean, it would be slightly better than a negate in situations. But this, you gotta sacrifice a legendary creature. And I can't think of any legends that you want to actively sacrifice. So I take this back. This is definitely not what I thought it was. And it's not making my top 10 any longer. Let's get into the next card. Let's replace this with the cactus. Let's do that. Because it was honorable mentions. I think it actually probably makes it number 6. So let's get number 5. So this is when I start actually getting to maybe playables. Now, this card I don't think is going to show up many places. It could show up in Mardu Fang, but that's really up for debate. What are you cutting for this? I mean, because we already have the Haster version of this in the last set. I mean, not in the last set, but maybe it was like a few sets ago. You know, that discard 2, draw that many cards. This does have a better Wink edition, so there's that. But overall, I don't think this shows up. You're definitely not cutting Fable for this. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But it could be reasonable, I guess. I mean, this is the end of the speculative cards, I think. So let's get number 4. Number 4 is Traveling Chocobo. 2 in a green, 3/2. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can play lands, cast birds. Not really relevant there. But what is interesting about this is the fact that it double triggers lands. So I'm not sure what deck wants this. I know like there's no Valakut in the format. If there was, oh my gosh, I would be so excited. But this could work in the future. It's definitely something you want to keep in the back of your mind. I totally get probably the price tag of this card is unbearable. It's like $30-something. So I would probably hesitate buying these. But I do think there could be something in the future where double triggering a land is absolutely amazing and critical. I just don't see any decks now wanting this. This is a wait and see style card. So maybe I'm just messed up and I should just put the cactus all the way up here, because I think that card actually has the highest shot of legit seeing play in a Tarka Red if a Tarka Red ever shines again. There's actually is a deck where that is wanted. This one, I don't think there is anything where it cares about landfall triggers. So, but let's get number 3. Cloud Magar Mercenary, white 2/1. ETBs, look for equipment, put it into your hand, and as long as this is equipped, the ability triggers additional time. You're probably gonna maybe play a copy or 2 in your Hammer Time list. It is double white, and for the most part, I think that deck is more red based, so it is gonna be a little bit difficult. But thankfully, Pioneer has decent lands. Like we do have shocks, we do have, the verges, we do also have, the vantages. We have something else we're going to be talking about in just a minute. And for land, so we do have a decent amount of ways of producing potentially double white on turn 2. So I think this card could be pretty reasonable for that style deck. I just don't think you're going to play full play set. I don't think it's that good of a card, but it's pretty decent. You might actually just play 2 of these and 3 of the other one that we talked about earlier. But what do you think about Cloud in Pioneer? Let me know in the comment section. Let's dive into number. All right, so this is actually the card that I had first on my list, and I was like, this seems like a boring pick for number one, so I put it to number two. I actually think this is actually the best card in the set. I could be crazy. I could be crazy, but I think this actually is the best card in the set. So caveat why I think that. So there is a deck called PNLR, and that deck loves exiling the top two cards, casting them, triggering your PNLR. This is an instant speed, so a lot like in that situation, instead of a sorcery speed one, you would just cast it under your opponent's end step, untap, play Pia, do your thing, get a bunch of tokens. Late game, this also can just pump your tokens, 2 tokens, get in for 6. So I really like that component as well. And I think this actually is a pretty reasonable card for that. So let's get into number 1 on my list. So honorable mentions for number 1. The Starting Town, I think this actually is the best land in the set. It's pretty decent there. This in a very aggro-ish style deck or a combo deck. Producing one of any color or producing a tapped colorless is pretty good. Now, the black Avenger land, I'm thinking this actually is pretty reasonable. This is actually the card I was talking about earlier. If a Golgari or Rakdos Sack comes back, you can now devote slots for monocolored lands, and you could easily sack something like a Witch's Oven if you don't need it. Draw 2 or something like that. You sack the cat 2 and draw 2. So I think this actually is a pretty reasonable card. It kind of ups your number of the 2-drop that you sack a creature or an artifact, you get a treasure, I believe, draw 2. So I think that's actually a pretty reasonable substitute or in addition to that without giving up lands, right? Because you're going to play this as your land, but you have an upside. I think that actually is pretty decent. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about these potential of these 2 lands. I think the other lands are kind of weak. The town land was interesting, but I don't know if it's worth flipping into a vehicle. That seems a little weird to me. So we have my actual number 1. Let's dive in. Of course, it's Dark Confidant. I don't know if this card actually is going to see play anymore, which is why I had it at number 2 originally. But I think people do like Dark Confidant. Still, to this very day, it's going to see play. I'm struggling here to figure out, can this card show up in Abzan or not, right? There's a lot of do-yourself damage decks or cards or mana in the actual deck, like Shocks. So you do take damage from that. This will do very well. Oh, wait. You would kill yourself if you played the 7/7 in the Death Shadow deck. I don't think it's going to work there unless you don't play that card, because you would just kill yourself. Or you would off yourself more often than you would like to admit there. So I don't think it's going to work there unless you cut that card for this card and then you deal a bunch of damage to yourself. Because you can deal 2 damage, 1 damage. The Last Ride is 1 damage. Thoughtseize plus Fatal Push. I mean, there's a lot of ways here to do that. Like I said, I'm just struggling about my pet deck, Abzan mid-range. It's going to be very tricky because it does play 4 drops. It does play 3 drops. And taking 3 damage or 4 damage off drawing it is kind of a huge ask. So we don't have Luris anymore. If we had Luris, this card would be absolutely busted in the format. But let me know where Dark Confidant will shake things up in the format. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before you head out that door. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Like I said, expect some number of Magic videos to appear. Randomly throughout everything. Like I said, it's 100% going to be dependent on how fast I can get cards for the set. So I'll talk to you guys next time.